Star Wars Battlefront 2, the second installment in the rebooted Battlefront series. Most gamers are aware of the controversy surrounding the first Battlefront game. As a massive Star Wars fan myself, it's hard for me to criticize something that allows you to pretend to be Luke Skywalker, something I've been doing since I was a child, but many fans were underwhelmed by the game, and that's putting it mildly. Fans criticized the lack of campaign, the repetitiveness of the online multiplayer, and the pay-for-play system involving the game's DLC. In regards to these three categories, Battlefront 2 is a definite improvement over its predecessor. For starters, Battlefront 2 actually has a campaign, so going from nothing to something is an improvement, I guess. As someone who still enjoys sitting down and wasting 15 to 20 hours pretending to be a wizard or a Jedi or a zombie slayer or a zombie-slaying Jedi wizard, that game would be awesome. This was probably my biggest problem with the first Battlefront. No campaign, no Beau Likey. If you don't want to include a campaign with your game, that's fine, but your online multiplayer better be fantastic. Take Overwatch, for example. No campaign? No problem. The multiplayer was incredible, so fans weren't complaining about the lack of story. Although I would really love to play an Overwatch campaign, or see a live-action Overwatch movie directed by Taika Waititi. Oh, here's our mini Thor Ragnarok review. It was great. We loved it. On the other hand, Battlefront 1 basically became the poster child of the DLC debate, something that you never want to be caught in the middle of. In a time where couch co-op is dying and online gameplay is king, developers have found a way to charge even more money on top of the initial $60 price tag. Is DLC killing gaming? Next time on Nerd Soup. Fortunately for fans, Battlefront 2's DLC now operates on a seasonal schedule similar to Overwatch. Battlefront's first season of DLC will be released on December 17th to coincide with the release of The Last Jedi, and characters like Finn and Phasma will become playable heroes. I hear Phasma's special ability is doing nothing, and then selling out her teammates. While EA made the right decision to change their DLC system, there was some minor controversy over the online multiplayer and the ability or inability to play with certain characters like Darth Vader and Luke. Originally, players would be forced to play over 40 hours of gameplay in order to accrue the necessary in-game currency to unlock these characters. The other option was to cough up more of your own money to unlock them. This was a really bad look for EA, and after universal public outrage and a statement by the president, EA decided to lower the cost of unlocking Darth Vader and Luke by 75%, so at least they're listening. For the most part, I've enjoyed almost every aspect of Battlefront 2. I think in every aspect of the game, it's better than its predecessor. It's a bigger and more polished version of what we received in 2015, but it's not without its flaws, specifically the campaign.
You wish to see me, sir?
The Emperor is dead.
So what happens now?
We retaliate, Commander.
Battlefront 2's campaign was the main seller for me. It was marketed as a canon story that succeeds the Battle of Endor and also includes tie-ins to The Force Awakens, while also allowing us to play certain missions with some of our favorite characters from the original trilogy. I'll probably never be casted in a Star Wars movie since I'm a blue cartoon cricket, so I'll take any chance I get to actively participate in the rebellion. The story itself follows the Imperial Special Units group Inferno Squad, who are led by Iden Versio, the campaign's main protagonist. The campaign follows the final months of the Empire. The Emperor is dead, the second Death Star has been destroyed, and the Empire has gone into full-blown psycho mode, doing everything and anything to maintain their hold on the galaxy. Iden Versio leads the Inferno Squad in their mission to help restore order to the galaxy. This actually isn't the first time we have met Iden Versio and the Inferno Squad. Inferno Squad's origins are covered in the prequel novel Star Wars Battlefront 2, Inferno Squad, written by Christie Golden, and it is one of my favorite Star Wars novels of all time. It's dark, gritty, and it does a great job of portraying the moral complexities of war. It's a gray area that usually isn't seen in Star Wars. We are so used to seeing this rebellion from the perspective of the rebels, but with Inferno Squad, we see the war from the Imperial perspective. Iden Versio was one of the two survivors of the attack on the Death Star during A New Hope, the other being Darth Vader. Though they won't admit it, the Death Star's destruction is shown to have dealt a serious blow to the Empire's morale. Admiral Garrett Versio, father to Iden Versio, puts together an elite special group made up of his daughter and 3 other highly skilled operatives. Their goal is to help prevent and avoid any other catastrophic attacks like the attack on the Death Star. In contrast to the novel, the campaign was extremely underwhelming. One of the biggest debates being had in the gaming community is the importance of gameplay versus story. Some define greatness in gaming as a game that puts equal emphasis on both crafting fun and immersive gameplay while also telling a great story. For example, my favorite game of all time is The Last of Us, and some fans argue that it's a game that prioritized its story over its gameplay. Critics will acknowledge the quality of its campaign, but claim that the gameplay was nothing that they haven't seen before. It was average at best. In the case of Battlefront 2, the developers at EA decided to focus more on the gameplay of the campaign rather than the story, which isn't a bad thing, but the gameplay itself is a bit repetitive. Most of the game's scenarios involve Aiden getting into a firefight on the ground or a space battle in the sky. It's kind of like Star Wars in that respect, minus the character development and emotional weight. For me personally, I wish they focused more on the stealth aspect of the game. The stealth is a bit clumsy and it's almost impossible to master. It's almost like the game is encouraging you to get into a firefight with the enemy. You know, like in Metal Gear Solid when you get spotted and you just have to run around shooting everybody in sight? That's basically every mission in this campaign that isn't a space battle. It's definitely fun, I had fun playing it, but the incredible graphics and settings left me wanting more from the missions. For me, the missions lacked imagination. The Star Wars universe has great potential for an all-time great RPG. It's a great setting, and after EA announced it was axing their new Star Wars game, which was being written by the writer of the Uncharted series, a part of my soul withered away and died forever. I was so looking forward to that game, and I think I put too much hype on the campaign for Star Wars Battlefront 2. At the end of the day, it's more of an arcade game that's focusing on its online multiplayer, so I won't say I was disappointed, but I was underwhelmed. You know, we live in a time where campaigns for games can last up to 20 hours, 25 hours, and this 7-hour campaign, it felt rushed. There are certain moments in the story that are supposed to be shocking and emotionally impactful, but if you haven't read the prequel novel, these moments will fall flat because we really don't know much about these characters. The best part of the campaign for me were the side missions featuring the characters from the original trilogy. It really puts in perspective how the rebellion wasn't over after the Battle of Endor. This scene in Return of the Jedi is really just a celebration of the Death Star's destruction. Leia, Luke, Han, and Lando, these guys still had a lot of cleaning up to do in order to secure the creation and preservation of the New Republic. There's also a great mission that includes Luke and one of the members of the Inferno Squad. I won't spoil how it ends, but something happens here that will definitely spark theories among fans. In fact, there are several lines and subtle hints dropped throughout the game that point to a bigger tie-in to the overarching story from the 3 Star Wars eras. So this game might be put in a different context after The Last Jedi. That's why I was so excited about the campaign, because it's a canon story that adds a new element to all 3 eras of Star Wars. So the campaign for me was a little underwhelming, but the multiplayer is something I'm going to be playing for a long time. First, the game is absolutely stunning to look at. The graphics are some of the best I've ever seen in a video game. That was actually one of the good things about Battlefront 1. It does a great job of incorporating the look of the films, and in some cases, it's almost indistinguishable from actual footage. It's just gorgeous. Also, the character of Aiden Versio is basically identical to Janita Javankar, the actress that provided the motion capture for Aiden. It's amazing how far this technology has come, but still not good enough to be used in a feature film. So creepy. Hey, if Tarkin appeared in a game looking like this, I'd be really impressed. The incredible graphics really only enhance the online gameplay, which features 5 different game modes. The first is Galactic Assault, which features 20 attackers taking on 20 defenders. This game mode also features 11 different planets found from the 3 different eras of Star Wars, like Naboo, Hoth, and Takodana. The second game mode is Starfighter Assault, which features a 12-on-12 space battle mode where players fight each other in TIE fighters and Rebel ships. Depending on what team they are placed on, players have the choice to choose between TIE fighters, TIE interceptors, TIE bombers, X-wings, Y-wings, A-wings, my favorite, and each team is reinforced with 20 AI ships. This is by far my favorite game mode simply because I love space battles. I love the space battles in Star Wars, and the flying and battle mechanics are very smooth and easy to use, but it's also challenging. You end up flying around for 20 fucking minutes trying to kill one guy. And finally, a game where yoking the joystick down actually makes you fly downwards. Down is down and up is up. Imagine that. The world is new. The third game mode is Strike, which is basically the Star Wars version of Capture the Flag. It's an 8-on-8 close combat mode where players are trying to capture a specific object from the other team. Heroes was definitely the fan favorite in the first Battlefront, and it's going to be no different in the second. The mode allows players to pick 4 characters from either the light or dark sides of the Force and battle each other to the death. I mean, come on, who doesn't love Force pushing Darth Maul off a cliff and then accidentally falling off the cliff yourself? Or running up in the spot with Yoda tap dancing on Darth Vader like a boss? Yoda? It's also great because if you suck at the game like me and you can never unlock any of the heroes in an online match, you get to play with actual Force-sensitive beings for a change. You get to use a lightsaber. You get to use Yoda. Yoda? And the final game mode is Blast, which is basically the Star Wars version of Team Deathmatch, 2 teams of 10 players, and the first team to reach 100 kills wins. If you're someone like me who is terrible at playing first-person shooters, it's going to be endlessly frustrating trying to gain enough battle points to play with one of the heroes. All I want to do is play with Yoda, man. Battlefront 2 is bringing all the boys to the battlefield. We've got Darth Vader, Darth Maul, Kylo Ren, Boba Fett, Bossk, Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Lando with his blue cape, Rey, Yoda, fucking Yoda. You can also unlock specially equipped stormtroopers, rebel soldiers, clone troopers, and different droids from the prequel era. And in the space battles, you have the option to unlock iconic Star Wars ships like Darth Vader's TIE Fighter and the Millennium Falcon. Seriously, nothing is funnier in this game than running into a Sith Lord in the middle of the battlefield and getting completely destroyed. It never gets old. Actually, it does get old. Pretty fast, because I can never get enough battle points to unlock them. I suck. The one major criticism I would have towards the game is, you guessed it, star cards. It's just another example of EA baiting us to spend more money on a game when we've already paid $60. So star cards are basically the way that you upgrade the different classes on the online multiplayer. There are 2 types of star cards, boost cards and ability cards. The names are pretty self-explanatory. Boost cards will boost your abilities in a specific class, like taking more damage or reducing the cooldown of your weapon. And ability cards can change or improve one of your existing abilities, like your protective shield or an ion torpedo, grenades, those type of secondary skills and weapons. There is also a thing called card levels. The more star cards you unlock for a specific class, the higher your card level will be. Card levels are important because if you are a certain level, you can equip up to 3 cards for a class, and it also determines how far you can upgrade the threshold for your star cards. It's the difference between the blast radius of a grenade reaching 6 meters or 7 meters. So star cards are very important. The problem with star cards is that you don't earn them by actually playing the game. You can only earn star cards through loot crates, which is a random bundle of different items like star cards, emotes, and crafting parts. The crafting parts that you receive in loot crates are used to either build star cards on your own, or you can upgrade your existing star cards. Once again, you can only earn crafting parts by purchasing loot crates or completing certain challenges in the campaign, arcade, and multiplayer modes. Instead of putting the emphasis on time played and the actual development of your skill, EA has put together a pay-to-win system in the form of star cards and loot crates. You can purchase loot crates using the in-game currency of credits, which are earned from leveling up and completing challenges, or you can just straight up buy loot crates with your own money. With star cards being so important to online play, it's basically another incentive for gamers to spend additional money on a game that they've already spent $60 on. How many times am I going to have to say it? The star card system is basically a pay-to-win system, where players who spend more money on loot crates will have a better chance to earn star cards and upgrade their classes. It doesn't even matter, let's say, if you prefer to use an assault class. The only thing you are going to gain by playing that class is unlocking additional weapons. You can't upgrade that class without having star cards. So grinding on your favorite class really has no impact on the upgrades. I'm of the opinion, as are most gamers, that games should reward players for the time they put into a game and their achievements while playing it, not some random mystery box system where upgrades are based on the luck of the draw or the willingness to spend more money. Overall, Battlefront 2 is definitely an improvement over its predecessor. After the underwhelming response to the Battlefront reboot, the developers at EA and DICE listened to the criticisms and heeded the advice of fans by improving the game in almost every aspect. Battlefront 2 features some of the most impressive game graphics I've ever seen. And although I was underwhelmed by the campaign, the solid and visually stunning online multiplayer gives Battlefront 2 great replay value. Battlefront 2, I give you a score of, I guess buy it now.